What's up YouTube, Jay here, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 2 of Fantastic MC. In our last episode, you saw us explore the seed for the very first time. We got a good source of food, got a little starter spawn area set up, and then we started exploring the world. We found a little village, and we found some nice hills to it, and decided to start our starter base in the hills near that village. In this episode, we're going to be grabbing some villagers, creating a little bit of a house for some villagers, a little villager farm, and then start creating an iron farm. And eventually, towards the end of the episode, we'll be creating a shop to sell our iron. With that said, we'll hop straight into the video. We're going to start off by getting some villagers to start up a little villager farm. I could just grab 3 villagers from the nearby village, bring them in and set them up in the iron farm, but long term we're going to need a lot more villagers for different things. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab 2 villagers from this village, because once I have 2 I can start breeding them. No need to grab a third, because as you'll see, it's a bit of a pain to move villagers, even just this probably 200 block distance. So I've already got 1 villager who's kind of separated from the village. I'm going to bring him over. There are many different ways to move a villager. The easiest way is probably a minecart, but the downside of this is it takes a lot of iron to move them. And the whole reason we want these villagers, at least in the near future, is to build an iron farm, because we don't have the iron yet. So minecart's out. We could also use a boat. Downside is boats kind of tough when you're moving along mountains, not along water. If you're moving along water, it's great. Boat's amazing. Even if you're on flat ground, boat's pretty good. But boats can't go up blocks. They can't even go from a path block to a regular dirt block, which is like I could destroy the path blocks and place them with dirt blocks, but that just shows you how tough boats are to use on any sort of hilly terrain. So that's out. Theoretically, you could use pistons to move villagers. That would be absurd. Another way you can do it is you can dig a route for the villager to run, and then over time they just gradually start moving towards the area that you want them to move in. That's a lot of work too. So the way that I typically like to move villagers is to use either a bed or a work block. In this case, during the day, I'm using a work block. So I'll place the work block, the villager will run to it. I'll destroy the work block, place it further in the direction I want them to run, and continue that process until I get the villager where I want them to go. Another great option, and this is useful at night, is beds. This is slightly nicer than the work blocks because once you place a bed, the villager runs to the bed. They actually lay down it, as opposed to when they run to a work block, they can then run in some random direction, which makes it feel much like you're just herding cats. They'll run to the work block, they'll select their profession, and then they'll run off in some random direction. And you'll see in this video, the villagers run away from me many different times. Even once I have a little hut set up for them, they go into the hut and then they leave the hut and run away. Eventually, once I've got 2 villagers that are close by, I'll begin building a little villager hut for them. We're trying to keep our builds aesthetic and eye-pleasing. If I was just doing this purely functional, I would dig a hole in the ground with a roof on it so that zombies couldn't get them and toss them in that hole. But in this case, we're trying to improve the quality of life of these villagers, so we're going to put them up in a nice little house. You can see this nice time lapse for the house. By the way, this process of getting the villagers over here took about 45 minutes. It's compressed down into a pretty short time lapse here, but this whole process of getting the villagers from the village over here in the hut took about 45 minutes of real world time, which sounds crazy because I only had to move them about 200 blocks, but man, it's really like you're just herding cats. Once I've got the little house built, I'll set some beds in there and herd the villagers inside. And once they're inside, I'll toss them some carrots. Once the villagers have, I believe it's something about 16 food, then they will breed and get more villagers. And that's the goal of this episode. You'll notice that I have gates as the door to their little hut. And the reason for that is because villagers can open doors. And if I place a door there, they will open that door and they will run away. Again, they've run away many times. I do not want to place a door there. So now that we have some villagers set up in our little villager farm and we can breed them and get as many villagers as we want, essentially, as long as we have enough carrots, I'm going to go ahead and start building the iron farm. And in concept, most iron farms, almost every iron farm follows the same 3 basic ideas. You need villagers and you need to get them scared. When those villagers get scared, they spawn iron golems. You want those iron golems to spawn in a specific location that you want them to spawn in. Once the iron golems spawn, you push them into a kill chamber that kills them and they drop their loot into a hopper. So those are the 3 basic concepts. Villagers get scared, golems spawn in a specific location, they get killed and drop their loot. So I start off, as you can see, I built my little platform, and then I go into this cave system and start filling it in a little bit to prevent the iron golems spawning back here. And then I clear all the other spawnable blocks that are around this area. And the way it works is there's a 17 by 13 box centered on the villagers that they can spawn an iron golem. So I want to make sure that blocks 6 below and 6 above the villagers within a 8 by 8 radius around the villagers are all cleared of spawnable blocks. And basically what a spawnable block is a full block that has 3 air blocks above it. So I want the only spawnable blocks that are within this 17 by 13 box to be in the specific area that I want the iron golems to spawn. Anything outside of that should be either have a block on top of it, or should be, if it is the top block, should be something like a slab or stairs or a button or a carpet, some non-spawnable block, because I don't want the iron golems spawning anywhere. I want them to spawn in a specific area so that I can easily push them to the kill chamber. During this time, I also get a zombie placed nearby the villagers in a boat because I don't want the zombie to despawn, and this zombie is what's going to be used to cause the villagers to panic. So whenever the villagers see a hostile mob, they start panicking and they spawn an iron golem for protection. That's the way that the farm works. By default, if there was just a zombie in here, it would despawn over time as people leave the chunks and whatnot. But if I place him in a boat or give him a name tag, then he won't despawn. Once I have the villagers and the zombie in place, and I've cleared out all the spawnable blocks that I don't want the golems to spawn in, I'll go ahead and place some spawnable blocks that I do want the golem to spawn in. So I'm gonna build a little tray looking design here, and this is where the iron golems will spawn. This is within a 17 by 13 box around the villagers so they can spawn golems here. And the idea is golems will spawn here, and then I'll place water that will push them off the edge of this platform. And then they'll fall into a little kill chamber at the bottom. So once I finish building this little tray, I will go down to the bottom and I'll start digging out an area and building a 2-high wall around where the golems will fall into. So pretty much all iron farms work on the same... Oh, I thought that was you when I saw that iron golem fall down. So pretty much all iron farms work with the same core concepts. You know, you've got villagers who get scared and they cause iron golems, I keep pronouncing that word wrong, golems to spawn. The golems spawn and they get pushed into some kill chamber. That's like the concept of an iron farm. In theory, you could maybe do some farm that killed zombies, because sometimes zombies can spawn with an iron ingot in their hand, but obviously this is going to be more efficient in terms of the amount of iron. So the way to actually scare them, you can either have them panic, which is when a mob scares them. To panic and spawn an iron golem, you have to have 3 villagers within 10 blocks of each other. You could also cause them to gossip, which is where you have a player hurting a villager and then they freak out, spawn iron golems. But in that case, you need 5 villagers nearby, and it requires player interaction.
Oh, yeah.
So having player interaction is kind of negative for having an automated farm. So basically, there's this zombie in here. I needed a way for him not to despawn the zombie. So I put him in a boat because that prevents him from despawning. You could also put him in an iron cart or a mine cart, or you could name tag him. But at the time, I didn't have a name tag because name tags are kind of expensive. So I just tossed him in a boat.
He's also holding a single button in there.
That's just by chance. I don't know how we got that. That's just by chance. So then, yeah, that's how they spawn iron golems. And then they spawn iron golems in a certain area. So it's like a 17 by 13 box. 17 is the horizontal, 13 vertical, around the villagers. So centered on the villagers is that 13 by 17 box. So basically that means they can spawn iron golems 8 blocks away horizontally and 6 blocks away up and down. So what I had to do was I cleared out any spawnable blocks that were within that area. So that's why I have these buttons on top to prevent golems from spawning on here, because they have to spawn on a solid block basically. So they don't spawn on buttons. I don't think they should spawn on slabs or stairs or Probably not torches, probably not glass. They basically just spawn on full blocks. But they do spawn in water, which is kind of nice. So the idea is I cleared out all the blocks that they could spawn on, except for the blocks that I want them to spawn on. Yeah. So they spawn over here in the water. You know, there's many different ways to get an iron golem into a kill chamber. The simplest way is water. So that's what I went with. And then these, what are they called? Signs prevent the water from flowing off the edge. Because if the water did flow off the edge, then you never know. The iron golems could swim up in the water and just cause issues. Other ways that you can get iron golems to move. One way is I could put up here, like kind of in between me and you, I could put a little platform with a zombie. The golems would try to attack the zombie, and then if I put trap doors here, they would fall off the edge and then hit the ground and splat. Other ways, I mean, technically you could probably use pistons to push them. That would be super complex. The most complex way, though, to get them to move is nether portals. But it's super efficient in terms of the amount of iron you get per time. And the reason for that is because every 30 seconds, every 10 or 30 seconds, the villagers check to see if an iron golem is near them. If there is an iron golem detected near them, they don't summon one. So you want to get the iron golem away from the villagers as quickly as possible. Because every time they do that check, that prevents them from spawning another one. Nether portals are super efficient at that because as soon as the golem spawns, as soon as they move, they immediately teleport to the nether, and then they're out of range of the villagers. And then as far as kill chambers go, you know, you could drop it a long way and cause it to hit the ground and die, but that would, iron golems have a lot of health, so that would take a super tall tower. And I didn't want to deal with that. You could use lava. The downside of lava is that when the golems get killed, some of the loot that they drop may get hit by the lava and get destroyed. Campfires don't destroy items. And other ways to kill them would be wither roses could kill them. Probably you could use cactus, but campfire was easy enough to get, so I used campfire. You could also use a soul sand, campfire, whatever. But so yeah, basically you got villagers. They get scared by a mob. Don't want to use a skeleton for obvious reasons because it'll kill them. Haven't tried it, but I assume it would kill them. Yeah. They get scared. They spawn golems. The golems get pushed off the edge. Or the golems are limited to spawn in a certain area, and then they're pushed to a kill chamber and then killed. And then obviously there's hoppers below that little kill chamber that collects their iron. And they drop between 3 and 5 iron ingots every time they die. So pretty nice. I didn't
realize it was that much. That's cool.
Yeah.
I just kind of assumed it was only 1 every time.
Yeah. So the efficiency factors of an iron farm, one is like how many modules you have, but another thing is like getting the iron golems away from the villagers as quickly as possible so that when they do their 10 or 30 second check, they don't see them. That's one way to make it more efficient. Get them away. And then, let's see, if I were to have multiple modules in this farm, I would need to have them like 10 or 16, or I'll have to check the Minecraft wiki, but like 10 blocks away, because if a villager is within 10 blocks or however many blocks of a summoning, they also won't summon a new golem for, you know, another 30 seconds or whatever. So if you have multiple modules, you want to make sure they're far enough apart so they don't interfere with each other. Because like if we had 2 farms just side by side and they spawn golems at half the normal spawning rate because they keep detecting each other's summons, then it's like useless.
It's pointless.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so obviously hoppers all come here, toss into here, drop into here, and then the iron golems drop like, I think it's between 0 and 2 or 0 and 3 poppies. So I'll just grab poppies from here, drop them in the top, and then get some bone meal out, because don't need that many poppies.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons I wanted to build an iron farm now is because, you know, we're early game on this server, and people want iron for iron armor, for iron tools. Eventually we'll need iron for hoppers and more complex things like that. So if I can get an iron farm set up, get an iron shop set up early on, start selling some iron, trading players, then we'll be set up pretty well on the server. Kind of going for a dark aesthetic, almost like Pirate Bay hole in the wall type shop. And I think it turned out decent. Definitely some room for improvement, but we can do that later on. I also decided I'm going to sell some liquid nether portals because I've got iron so I can make buckets. I've already got a lava farm set up with some dripstone, so might as well go ahead and sell other players access to the nether. And we've already had a few players come by the shop to purchase some of our wares, and here's one of those interactions.
Thankfully, his iron shop couldn't be closer. One down here. Yep. F5 a couple times, get back in the first person. And here we are. We got some intimidating lava. hey.
Don't fall off. Don't ask me how I know.
Swimming in it?
Just kidding. I haven't fallen off it yet. I don't think I've died from lava yet in this server. But yeah, come on inside. Enjoy my wares. Watch out for the fire, of course.
You made it to the nether.
And you could too, sir, for just a cheap price of 6 diamonds if you look at my wares over here.
Diamond.
Yeah. It's a very cheap cost for a great experience, something you'll remember for the rest of your life, and you never know how long the end of your life will be. You may get there and you may die immediately. I almost did, but maybe you'll have more luck.
It was almost worth it for just the buckets.
And yep, that's what I was about to say. You get to keep the buckets. So if you're someone who likes building, terraforming, which you, sir, look to be quite the terraformer from what I've seen. So amazing time lapse from you. So
16 for 1 stack of any log. That is something I can burn through. I might even have logs on me.
Sweet. Alright, the guy's, he's not a richy rich, but sounds like he's got some logs. We'll see if he makes it to the nether sometime. Trying to extract as much wealth as I can from this guy. Back for some of my wares, sir.
Ignore the fact I had to go mining for some wood.
I will say, if you've got dark oak wood, I will give you a little bit of a discount.
I haven't seen a dark oak tree.
That's why I'd give you a discount. Because, if you look at the front of this building, it looks fine. There is a lot of depth. Whoa, I almost fell off and got some depth, if you know what I mean. There is actually a lot of depth, but it doesn't look like a lot of depth because it's all just kind of this dark gray color.
Yeah.
If I were to put some dark oak wood around this, I feel like it would look a little bit nicer, a little bit like a little hobbit house.
Dang. Yeah, because it is already 3 blocks thick.
Yeah, but it really, honestly, doesn't look like it.
Dang.
I'm like, I could do maybe some nether bricks, but I like the dark color. Maybe some nether bricks on the left side for the nether portion of the shop.
Yeah, episode 3 is gonna be hunting for trees. I think you're about to be very profitable as I burn through my iron tools.
That's the hope, sir. That's the hope. Once you find some diamond, come back and talk to me.
For sure, will do.
The nether has so many good supplies, lots of different colors, great for, really nice builds. Nether brick is amazing for building very cool things. Really, I'm just trying to sell you some nether stuff.
It kind of sounds like it.
But
All right.
I'll cut you a deal, maybe 5 diamonds for
5 diamonds.
We'll see. Yeah.
I'll trade you a cake. I got plenty of cakes now.
What cake are we talking about?
Oh, it's the delicious kind. You have to come over and try some cake making one day.
I just may.
With that, I'm gonna get back over to some building.
All right, let me know.
Will do.
Oh, looks like some nice profits right here. We got, what's that, 128, 172 172 wood. I might have to go get some more iron to refill the shop.
And that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please make sure to give it a like so that more people will see it. Leave a comment down below if you have any ideas for other things I should build this season. And if you'd like to stay tuned for the rest of the episodes of this season, make sure to subscribe. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.